You are very good at what you do. You know this. You have built a life around making sure everyone else knows it too. But strip that away just for a moment and ask yourself what is left. Welcome to the Stoic Compass. I am Epictetus, and today I am joined by Carl Jung and LAOZI. Today we are examining, if you could no longer hide behind competence, what would you discover about your worth? Let me start where most people are afraid to. You have spent years becoming skilled, reliable, impressive, and every single day that skill is doing double duty. It is doing the work, yes, but it is also standing guard, keeping something behind it. The question is not whether you are good at what you do. The question is what you are afraid people would see if you are not. Because if your value depends entirely on your performance, then you do not actually believe you have value. You believe you have a transaction, and transactions end.
What Epictetus is describing has a name, clinically speaking. One might call it the persona, the mask we construct to interface with the world. But the persona is not a lie, exactly. It is a selection. We choose certain qualities to lead with, qualities that have been rewarded, praised, found useful. And we push everything else, the doubt, the neediness, the confusion, down and away. The danger is not that the mask exists. Every functioning person has one. The danger is when you forget you are wearing it and begin to believe the mask is the face.
You are both describing a kind of exhaustion that people do not usually name as exhaustion. They call it ambition. They call it work ethic. They call it being serious about life. But underneath it, there is a person who has been performing for a very long time and who is tired in a way that sleep does not fix. That tiredness is information. It is not a problem to be solved. It is the self pointing at something.
Tired or not, tiredness does not excuse you from the question. Everyone is tired. What I am asking is specific. Is your competence something you have, or is it something you are hiding behind? There is a difference. A person who knows what they are worth does not need their credentials to walk into the room first. A person who does not know what they are worth sends everything they have ever accomplished ahead of them like a shield. You know which one you are. Stop pretending the question is complicated.
I want to push back on that, because what Epictetus is calling pretense may actually be something more structurally deep. The wound that drives excessive performance is rarely chosen. It is usually built very early, in conditions where love or safety or belonging was conditional on output. A child who learns that they are loved when they succeed does not simply decide to stop tying worth to achievement. That tie is woven into their understanding of what it means to exist in relation to other people. It does not dissolve because someone tells them it should.
That is true, and it is also part of how the trap deepens, because now the explanation for why we perform becomes another layer of performance. We understand ourselves very clearly, and then we keep doing the same thing. The understanding becomes a reason to stay where we are, rather than a way through.
Exactly, and that is where I have no patience. Not for the wound, I grant you the wound exists. Not for the pattern is real. But for the moment when understanding becomes a place to live instead of a door to walk through. You cannot think your way out of this. You have to act differently than you have been acting. You have to let yourself be seen without the armor on, even once, and survive it. That is the only proof that matters.
But seen by whom, and as what? This is where I think the practical framing is incomplete. When someone has organized their entire identity around competence, they do not know what is underneath. It is not simply that they are afraid to show it. They genuinely do not have access to it. The shadow, the disowned parts, the qualities that were never allowed to develop, these are not just hidden, they are genuinely undeveloped. You cannot simply remove the armor and discover a fully formed self waiting inside. There may be confusion there may be grief, there may be something that does not yet have a name.
And yet people do survive that confusion. They always have. What they cannot survive, not for very long, is the alternative. A person can maintain a performance for decades, but something in them knows the whole time that the performance is not the point. And that knowledge does not go quiet. It gets louder as the years go on.
So what are you both saying? That we should wait? That we should understand the wound more deeply before we do anything about it? I am telling you that waiting is a strategy, and it is the strategy most people use to avoid the one moment that would change things. You do not need a complete psychological portrait of yourself to try one conversation, one situation, where you let your guard down and bring something real instead of something impressive.
No, I'm not saying wait. I am saying do not mistake surface bravery for genuine depth. A person can learn to perform vulnerability just as skillfully as they perform competence. I have seen patients who became very fluent in the language of emotional honesty while keeping the actual wound entirely intact. The outer behavior changed, the inner structure did not. What I am saying is that the work is not just behavioral, it is archaeological. You have to go into what you have buried and actually look at it.
You are both right, and you are both pointing at part of the problem while calling it the whole thing. Epictetus says act, Jung says look inward first, but neither of those fully describes what actually happens when someone stops hiding. What happens is simpler and harder than either of you is saying. They stop organizing their entire life around the question of whether they are enough, not because they answered the question, because they stopped needing it answered.
That sounds like a riddle. I prefer something a person can use on a Tuesday morning.
Then here is something a person can use. The worth was never inside the competence. It was never earned and it was never lost. The only thing that changed, ever, was whether you were willing to look at yourself without the work in the way.
There is something important in that. Perhaps what we are really discussing is the difference between contingent worth and unconditional worth. Contingent worth says, I am valuable because of what I produce. Unconditional worth says, I am valuable independent of what I produce. Most people have been told they believe the second thing while actually living the first. The therapeutic question, the one that actually opens something, is this. Can you locate a moment, even a small one, when you felt worthy of being in a room for no reason other than that you were in it? Not because of what you had done, just because you were there.
Or you can ask it differently. When was the last time you stopped performing, even briefly, and the world did not end? Because it did not end. You just told yourself a story about why that moment did not count.
The water does not hold its shape to prove it is water. It simply fills what is there. Most people have forgotten that they were something before they became useful.
And most people will keep forgetting unless they are made uncomfortable with the forgetting. So let me make you uncomfortable. What would you bring to a room if you could not bring your accomplishments? What would you say if you could not say what you have done? Who are you when the resume is not in the room with you? These are not rhetorical questions. They are diagnostic. Answer them honestly and you will know exactly what kind of work you have left to do.
I would add to that diagnostic a different kind of question, one that looks back rather than forward. Think about the first time in your life that your worth felt conditional. Not as an abstract theory, but as a lived experience, a specific moment when you understood that approval was available, but it had to be earned. That moment did not only shape your behavior, it shaped your sense of what you are. And until you look at it clearly, you will keep recreating the conditions that felt like safety back then, even when they are costing you everything now.
And when you find that moment, do not do anything with it immediately. Just stay with it for a while. You have been moving very fast for a very long time. Whatever is underneath the competence does not need to be fixed in an afternoon. It needs to be acknowledged. That is usually the step that gets skipped because it offers nothing visible, nothing impressive, nothing to report. But it is the step that everything else depends on.
Acknowledging is not enough. I will grant that it is the beginning. But the beginning is not the same as the work. At some point, you have to take a different action than you have been taking. Not a dramatic one, a small one. One situation where you resist the urge to impress, where you let yourself be uncertain, where you say something true instead of something polished. That is where the proof lives, not in the understanding, in the doing.
And if the doing produces anxiety, as it almost certainly will, do not treat that anxiety as evidence that you are doing it wrong. Anxiety in that moment is evidence that you are touching something real. The psyche protects what it has kept hidden. When you start approaching the hidden thing, it creates discomfort as a defense. Move toward the discomfort carefully, but do not turn away from it simply because it is uncomfortable.
You are both still treating this like a project, like there is a destination where the person arrives and no longer needs to prove anything. But it does not work that way. There is no moment of completion. There is only the practice of returning again and again to what is actually here. The worth is not something you find once and then possess. It is something you recognize, forget, and recognize again. That is not a failure. That is just what it is to be human.
Then let it be that. But do not use the fact that it keeps returning as an excuse to never start.
I think we may be converging on something despite our different languages. Whether you call it the shadow, or the unexamined driver, or simply what is underneath the performance, we are all pointing at the same movement. The movement is inward, toward what has been kept away from the light. And the reason it matters is not therapeutic or philosophical, it is practical. You cannot build something real on a foundation of concealed doubt. The doubt stays active, whether you look at it or not. Looking at it is not the same as being defeated by it.
What you have been hiding from yourself is not as terrible as you think it is. That is the thing most people do not expect. They avoid looking because they are afraid of what is there. But what is usually there is not a monster. It is just a person who was not sure they were enough, and who worked very hard to never have to find out.
Then here is the only question that has any weight. Not who you are when you are performing, who you are when the performance ends.
Most people who are very good at something have made a quiet, unconscious trade. They have exchanged the uncertainty of being known for the safety of being impressive. And it works for a long time. The world rewards competence. People trust you. They rely on you. You feel useful. And feeling useful is close enough to feeling worthy that most people never notice the difference. But they are not the same thing. Usefulness is conditional. It depends on your output, your health, your performance on any given day. Worth is not. Worth does not fluctuate with your last project or your last mistake. The trouble is, if you have spent years using competence as a stand-in for worth, you genuinely may not know what is underneath it. Not because you are broken, because you were never given the chance to find out. Someone, somewhere early on, taught you that approval was available, but it had to be earned. And you were a good student. Here is what that costs you. You cannot fully rest. You cannot fully receive. Compliments land on the surface and slide off because you know somewhere underneath that they are addressed to the performance and not to you. You are always, on some level, preparing for the moment when someone sees through it. The way out is not to become less competent. It is to stop using competence as a shield. Today, try this. Find one moment, just one, where you are with another person and you say something true instead of something polished. Not something dramatic, not a confession. Just something real, something that does not make you look capable. Notice what happens. Notice that you survived it.
The competence is real. Nobody is asking you to pretend otherwise. But it is not the answer to the question you have been using it to avoid. You know what that question is. You have always known. The worth you have been trying to earn was never available for purchase. It was already there. It was there before the first time you proved yourself. And it will be there after the last time. Stop performing for a moment, just long enough to notice that you still exist. If today's conversation has served you, take it further. Pay Attention by C. Trebu, 12 Lessons in the Practice of Seeing Clearly. Available now on Amazon.